What's good, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Star Chasers, Girls Talk Ball. As always, it's your girl, Cravin Cowboys. And as usual, I got my girl, Star, in the building. What's good, Star? How you doing tonight, sis?
What's up, everybody? What's up? Glad to see everybody in the chat for another episode of Star Chasers, Girls Talk Ball. This is the final episode of the show pre-draft. So
yes,
by next Wednesday, we will know who our draft picks are. So, we got to get into it. But shout out to everybody in the chat. John Jones, Hoodie Kush, you're becoming one of our loyal people who are starting to be in our chat. So we really appreciate that. I know there's going to be more people joining. But just thank everybody for being here. Please like the video on your way in. Both of our channels. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels if you haven't already. And what else? Oh, please share the content, guys, so that we can get our content out in front of more people. Mickey and I are both trying to grow our channel, so please help us. And also, if you feel so kind in your heart to send us some cash apps, our cash apps are there on the screen. So we really appreciate y'all.
Yeah, like Star was saying, thank you guys for your time this Wednesday evening. Weather's starting to break. Like she said, our final show before before the draft, tomorrow evening. And we were actually just talking before we hopped on here, very excited about, of course, with recent news, kind of throwing some things, for a loop. But, as usual, we're going to dive into it with tonight's show and just kind of give our thoughts on, maybe some of our top picks or some of our favorite guys who we hope that the Cowboys, maybe, kind of lean towards, especially with today's presser, kind of not really giving too much away, of course, but, more questions kind of lean toward, if they were to, kind of trade back or maybe a little kind of going a little bit to Shadi's vision just a little bit. But a lot of I was just telling Star off camera, a lot of the questions were kind of posed more towards Jerry and Steven. I'm kind of looking forward to the days where we can actually listen to Shadi kind of speak again and kind of get more into, into his philosophies, more of his ideas of what he wants to bring. We're actually kind of getting, just kind of jumping into the show here, kind of getting a look into what he wants to, do with this upcoming 2025 season. We've seen with the hiring, and that's really just one thing, I want to kind of start the show off with this, if you don't mind. Just really, in my opinion, it seems like this season, like Shadi is kind of making the offensive line kind of the nucleus of the team. He's kind of trying to recreate the image, recreate the identity, with the hiring of new coaches, bringing in Riley, bringing in Adams. And then
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
with Ramon Chin Young, he's kind of he's a coach that kind of returned. I think he's been here for a few years. I think he came in, I think 2022, 2023, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yeah,
has been here for a few years, and I just
for a
like that
while.
his yeah. So, but I like that his name is kind of ringing bells a little bit. Tyler Guyton kind of mentioned him in his interview, and then I think he was mentioned in the presser yesterday or today. Just
Mhm.
as kind of like a third, kind of a third punch, as far as the coaches, kind of Adams kind of being, the overall, if you will, offensive line coach, but just kind of really having his hands, and then with the other two coaches helping out, Riley and Shin Young. I just learned today looking on Shin Young's Twitter page, he actually was helping out with some of the offensive line drills in the combine. So I just like that he kind
Oh
of
wow.
has had his hands, not just on the Cowboys, but kind of around the league, and kind of has that reputation. So just
Right.
just some of your thoughts, sis, on just kind of the revitalization, if you will, that Schottenheimer is kind of trying to bring to the team and the offensive line, and just kind of make that kind of the anchor of the team, and just kind of trying to make that the identity of the team as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that Shotty is a coach that 100% believes in the power and the importance of the offensive line. I think any head coach should know how important the offensive
Yeah,
line is and how integral it is to the function of how integral it is to the
yeah,
function of the offense, right? And I think that Shotty definitely, from what we've heard from him and Clay Adams, Connor Riley, our new offensive line coach, is that they do want to have a physical presence and they do want to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. The question comes to, well, how do we want to go about doing that? Because I believe from what 2021, 2022, 2023, we have had, now listen closely, we have had one of the most talented offensive lines. But and I'm saying this because remember 2023 we had three all
yes,
pros. Now I know people said, well, some people think that the Zach Martin all pro was a consolation prize because he probably, they don't believe that he should have got all pro in 2023. Well, I'm like, well, maybe he shouldn't have got all pro, but I mean, at the very least, Zach Martin was still, what's up, D
what's
Block,
good, everybody?
Enrico, Keystone, appreciate you. Zach Martin has, for about a couple of years now, have been starting to not be a demigod, but he was still one of the top
Yeah,
guards in the league. I think that, how he fell out this year, I think was shocking because I don't, we saw him slowly, but we felt like the rails came off this year. Like, it's just like, boom, I
yeah,
think that was shocking. But what I do think is that we've invested a lot into the offensive line. We were able to have three all pros, regardless if you think they should have got it or not, three all pros in 2023. But yet, remember in 2023, we were better pass blocking, but we were horrible at run blocking. We could not run block to save our lives. And you would think having Tyler Smith and Zach Martin as your interior players, your two guards, and you should be able to run the ball. But we couldn't run the ball at all. Then you go back a year to 2022, where we could run the ball. We were actually top 10 in running the ball that year. I believe we were eighth. We were ranked eighth in total rushing yards, but we were also 32nd in pass block win rate. And if we weren't 32nd, we were the
yeah,
bottom. Okay, because maybe we weren't 32nd. That's what everybody said, but maybe that's not true. Maybe we were just, toward the bottom, but we
yeah,
wasn't the bottom. Regardless, that we couldn't pass block. So this is what we're saying. Like, we've had these lines who there are the lines around the league that have less talent, but that were performing better. But we have to ask ourselves, well, why is that? Take somebody like Clay Adams, who was on his offensive line last year, besides Paris Campbell, not Paris Campbell, but
mhm,
Paris Johnson, who was a rookie. He was a rookie first round pick. But other than that, that was a makeshift line, and those guys were incredible in rushing. I mean, executing teach tape, executing the scheme that Clay
yeah,
put together. So that's why we could even take it back. Let's take it back for our own team to the '90s, to the Great Wall. Like, None of those got. Well, I think there was like maybe one first round pick, maybe one first round pick, maybe a second round pick, but majority of those guys, some of them were converted D tackles, undrafted
Right.
free agents, eighth round picks. Like, but what made them the Great Wall? Coaching, coaching,
Absolutely.
coaching. And I'm glad, and I think that you will see. Brian Schottenheimer has already, I feel like, established his emphasis on physicality in the offensive line simply by the coaches
Yeah.
that he brought in. If you look at the coaches that he brought in, you can see what he wants to do. That's why I think that we're going to be balanced. I don't think that we're going to be a ground and pound offense, but I do firmly believe that we will finally have a running scheme. We will finally have a running scheme, and that's something that we did not have for 5 years under Mike McCarthy. We did not have a run
Right.
scheme. Right, you block coaching matters. So I believe that the coaches, and this, like I said, there's good talent on this line. There is good talent on
Yeah.
this line. The talent simply just needs to be coached up so that they can perform to their full potential. I do expect a second year jump from Tyler
Right.
Guyton. I do expect a second year jump from Cooper Beebe,
Absolutely.
right? And then you have whoever they're going to put at right guard. I don't know if that's Brock
Right.
Hoffman or not. I just watched some tape on Brock Hoffman, and I believe that Brock Hoffman is above average. Is he the best? No. Is he all pro? No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Could he maybe squeeze out a Pro Bowl?
Yes.
Probably. It probably. You know what I'm saying? I think, but that's where I think he's at level talent wise. But I think that is enough to work with to where Connor Riley, a guy who took Cooper Beebe, who came into the
Right.
NFL, like remember how our guy told us, shout out to Joe, who told us last year, Cooper Beebe was a defensive
Mm-hmm.
line recruit. And then Connor Riley turned him into one of, or if not the best guard in college
Yeah.
football. So that's the coach that we're dealing with. These are the coaches. So I do think that the coaches should be able to get it done and establish that physicality because I believe that we have enough talent that they can work with and
Right.
mold. Would I love to get an additional offensive lineman in the draft to come and compete for that right guard position?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. I'm not against that, but I'm just against it as well.
Facts. I'm so glad you brought that up because even just as of recent, just this week, I mean, with the last minute 30 visit with Tyler Brooker, and then we were just talking about before we hopped on here the other meetings that they have with other early round linemen such as Armin Membu, Kelvin Banks from Texas, Membu from Missouri, Jonah, I believe Sava Inea from Arizona. So for
From
them
Arizona.
for them to be holding these meetings, and then the last minute addition of Booker, of course. But then, like you said, already have a Brock Hoffman in the room. We have guys from previous seasons, Austin Richards, Nate Thomas. Are still trying to find places on the line for. So talk about competition. You know what I mean? So it's TJ Bass. You know what I mean? I think that what they're really doing, and I think it was kind of alluded to in the presser with Stephen Jones, kind of speaking about certain grades on players and maybe not overextending on players and reaching. I think they're kind of taking not just Schottenheimer for what he can learn from Mike McCarthy, but I think the Joneses as well. Stephen kind of mentioned that you don't want to overreach on the player, but kind of just in my personal opinion, I think they're kind of learning from previous seasons where they've and not just losing guys who may be undrafted or maybe free agents that decide to cut guys who didn't make the cut, but they've also lost draft picks as of recent. I mean, we can go back to a Tyler Smith draft class, even Micah Parsons draft class. We have a lot of guys who we've lost. On both sides of the line. Ridgeway we've lost. We lost some linebackers along the way. We've lost some cornerbacks. So I think with him mentioning and Schottenheimer mentioned that too. Finding guys who have not just the right traits, the right fit, the right talent, but guys who actually fit the team, fit the organization, and find that guys who had that passion, that motivation to actually
the right
exactly.
character,
So they're trying to find the right fit, and it's kind of perfect time. We kind of mentioned it last week with Shotty kind of taking over during this transitional period. I think it's very important for them to be taking these steps. Bringing in these coaches, bringing these teachers, like you mentioned. And also it's kind of a way for kind of Riley to kind of acclimate to the NFL as well. He kind of mentioned early on, when he first kind of came in, it was kind of a whirlwind. He's still kind of learning the terminology, learning, and Schottenheimer mentioned it too. He kind of said he kind of liked the disagreements that the guys were having about these players, about certain philosophies, things like that.
Yep,
You know what I'm
he
saying? So
did
I
say
think that he
that.
likes not necessarily the butting heads, but he likes the kind of the different opinions in the room, and he likes that.
He likes the different opinions because it's basically like, uh, I know he's not here no more, but Mike McCarthy used to always say something that I agree with. He says conflict is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
So because if you have conflict, you know what I'm saying. If you don't have a bunch of just yes men,
absolutely,
you can actually get to the right
right,
result, right? Because sometimes you may have an idea, but you can get counseled by 2 to 3 people and they're like, that wasn't a good idea. And then now you know that's not a good
exactly,
idea. So I think that, based off of what they've said, unless they're blowing smoke off our butts, which is possible, but, based off of what they said, they really are battling it out and doing their best to get on, and getting on the same page about these
yes,
grades. And Shadi had said, he was like, we've been arguing back and forth, but he was like, it does, we do feel, it's just, we feel that sense of gratitude when everybody finally gets on the
yeah,
same page. So I think that, they're fighting, they battled it out, but they are getting on the same page. And I do think at this point, they may not have their full board together. They should not by now,
facts,
Travis Smart.
yeah,
But I think that, I do think that they are on board. They are on board with what's going to happen in the
yeah,
first round, which we can talk about that. And shout out to new people
yeah,
in chat. Angie, what's up? My God, Ty Church, really
yeah.
appreciate y'all
Keystone,
being in
facts,
the chat.
shout out.
Yes, thank you, God. Lee Harrison, oh Lamont Graham, how you doing? Very glad to see y'all in the chat with
Yes,
us, for
facts.
sure, for sure. But yeah, you want to kind of get into the Cowboys plan, or do you want to play that? You said you had a clip from the press
Yeah, I can play
conference.
that
Do you
real
want
quick.
to
It's
play
about a
that?
30-second clip. I just wanted to show you guys this clip because I was asking Star before we dive into that. I was asking just to just kind of get your opinion, Star, and actually the chat's opinion as well. Just seeing if you guys believe that Jerry Jones kind of applied pressure towards at the end of the press conference, because it was right after Schottenheimer was asked whether himself and the other coaches as well will actually have a word and bringing some of these picks, some of these players. And right after Shoddy asked, Jerry kind of hopped in and said that these guys are, this is Shoddy's time. These guys, it's time to kind of speak up. So that's kind of want to play this clip and then see what you guys' opinion is on it.
They're on the line, boy. This is big time. So put it out there. And so they know that if they can, in their opinion, do a better job as a coach. So if I were them, I'd be crying, I'd be jumping up and down, I'd be doing, and that's, and I get that. I really do get it. And this is their time to go. This is Shoddy. If Shoddy's ever wanted a big and felt like choking somebody or doing anything, this is probably, it ought to be his highest motivated moment.
And I just feel like, and I'm not gonna say he was taking a shot at Mike McCarthy, but I feel like when he said, okay, if you feel like you can be a better coach, I feel like when he kind of said that, he was like, okay, not kind of taking the jab, but he's saying like, okay, I know you and McCarthy were close. McCarthy kind of helped you with your interview, so on and so forth. But he's kind of like, hey, if you think you can do maybe a better job, as a head coach, bringing your philosophies, you're bringing in your guys, we're gonna, allow you to maybe make some picks in this draft. We kind of gave Eberflus to help them out with, some talent there as well. So what's your opinion on what's your thoughts on that, sis? Do you think that Jerry is applying pressure this kind of early in the process with Schottenheimer, or is he just kind of because he did kind of say it jokingly kind of at the end kind of rounding out the pressure? So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think that Jerry does like. I think that the whole entire front office really likes Shoddy. I do feel that. I sense that even Steven, who's more of a clam ball,
Right.
and
He does seem a little bit more
we call
open.
him Rob.
Yeah, he does seem a little bit more laid back
Right,
and joking and laughing this off season.
right, exactly. Like he seemed more chill, and I feel like he really likes Shoddy, and I feel like uh, Shoddy is building relationships with him as well as Jerry, as well as
Yeah.
Jerry
Yeah.
Jr. And I think that you know, what it appears like to me from the conference is that, because what we were all scared of is that Shotty is another
Right.
puppet. He's just gonna be here control. Jerry just picked him because it was an easy pick. Jerry didn't interview anybody and stuff like that. But what I do see from Shotty is, and shout out to Big Game James because he's been talking about it like,
Yeah.
Libra gang, but he's been explaining that Shotty is a diplomat.
Yeah.
Shotty is a guy that he can be everything to all people.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something that Mike McCarthy couldn't do. Mike McCarthy was more so like, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? This is who I am, take it or leave it. But Shotty is a guy that really can. This is what I'm sensing, what I'm seeing. To me, he's a guy that can really persuade or get people
Yeah.
to buy in, because you see how the fan base, when we first, not me, but the fan base as a whole was pissed when they hired Shotty. They were pissed. They're like, we should have got Ben Johnson. We could have got Aaron Glenn. We could have got, I don't know who the other coaches were at the time. I can't think about it. Oh, we could have got Prime. We could have got all these
Yeah.
people, and we picked this dude. But Shotty has won people over through his football knowledge. But not just his football knowledge. He said something at his first press conference. He said, listen, I'm a football guy. I know X's and O's. I know all of that stuff. But he was like, who I am is, I know people and I know how to build relationships. And that's what I'm getting from
Facts.
Shotty, is that he knows people. He knows how to build relationships. I'm observing how he is at the press conference versus how Mike McCarthy was at any press conference. And Shotty really looks
Yes.
comfortable up there. Like, y'all look, like, the Shotty doesn't look tense. He doesn't
Right.
look off put by anything Jerry says. He doesn't look off put by Steven. He doesn't look like, like he's angry I don't sense that. You know what I'm saying? What I sense is a guy who's like, I'm good. Like, we're good. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's able to do what
Yeah.
he said he
And I
would
think
do. And then
I think it's more,
go ahead,
I think they kind of started, kind of not. I hate to use the term open relationship, but even Will McClay has said it, numerous times that he's been open and honest about when he said in the presser today or yesterday, they said he's been open and honest about, what he wants from the beginning, the talent, up front about, about the run game, about the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? What the main problem with the team, and really not just the offensive line, but, both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, stopping the run, things like that. So he just kind of made it clear where he wants to come in and change, his philosophy, little by little, just, kind of revealing what he wants to do, what his plans are. So I really think that kind of helps, not saying McCarthy wasn't, because, there were times where he was clear about what he wanted, signing players early. And so we can get, off-season plans going. But, like you said, maybe, they're a little bit more, more liking the Shotty.
But you know what, with McCarthy, I think with McCarthy, it was more so after the fact that was the issue. Like, Mike McCarthy, instead of just being up front and just voicing your opinion, like, this is what I want, and being adamant about that, I think Mike McCarthy did the thing where he's like, okay, that's what you want, Jerry? Okay, let's do it your way, Jerry. And so he would do it Jerry's way, knowing that Jerry's way wasn't ultimately going to work. And then that's how he got power. It was a very roundabout way. And it seems like from Will McClay to Jerry to Steven, Shotty is not this roundabout coach. He's more so, this is what I want to do. If you're saying this, that's fine. But if I disagree, I'm going to tell you. Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that is what is winning them over, because it's clear. And I think that Shotty is ensuring that everybody is on the same page, rather than letting the front office just steamroll him and say, "No, this is what we're gonna do." Now, granted, we don't know, how the draft is going to shake out. But like I said, I do believe that they are on the same page now. I do think that they were warring it out, right? But I do think that they are on the same page about how they want to move forward. And I think that even thinking about like yesterday, and I could probably pull up the clip, but listen to this clip of let me see if I can pull it up. I think it's on John Jama showed us. I retweeted it, but I think I'm gonna just go here. It'd be
Yeah, while you're
easier.
doing that, everybody that's kind of came
Uh,
in, make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the share button. A lot of people joined the chat, and we're really happy to have you guys here. It's the night before the draft. We're very, very excited about what our Cowboys are going to do. Just going to give you guys our thoughts and opinions on, who we think, the Cowboys,
what's up,
what they should pick.
everybody?
It was good.
The angry Cowboys fan.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Stephen
you,
White
brother.
coming in.
Y'all know who's Stephen White. But yeah,
Important one for me and
let's
my
read
relationship
this
with our new
right
head
quick.
coach.
But listen to this question.
Obviously everyone got their
And so it said Micah Parsons on why he chose to show up. Because remember, a lot of people are like, Micah's not going to
Right,
show up to
right.
voluntary workout. It's a big deal. So they're saying, this is Michael's response to why is he showing up for voluntary OTAs? Because y'all know last year he missed it, and then the year before that
Mhm.
he missed it. So why is he showing up now? So let me rewind it.
obviously everyone got their perspective, but just talking to Shadi and telling me, the importance how it is to come and be there, and what he's trying to prove and show to the team. I just thought it was important, one, for me and my relationship with our new head coach, to understand where he's coming from and help him in any way I can to go on this run. So that goes to show, Shadi showed up to my event. Shadi's been around and trying to build relationships. So I feel like we're at the point where, if he asks her for me to come in for a couple of days to, first important for the leadership aspect and be around the guys and show face, and that's something I want to do for my coach and anybody. This is also
So y'all can see from that clip that Micah is at OTAs, not because of the media or any
Right.
bullshit, or because the contract or whatever. Like, he's at OTAs, he said, because of Shotty. Shotty came to him
Mm-hmm.
directly. See what I'm saying? Like, Shotty came to him directly and said, I need you at OTAs. He said he's got a lot. Shotty said, I got a lot to prove this year. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
establish the culture. I'm trying to establish my leaders, and I need you
Yeah.
here. You know what I'm saying? And Micah honored that but he said first, he said, Shotty came to my event. Like, Shotty, since he's become the head coach, Shotty has been going out of
Mm-hmm.
his way to really build those bonds and relationships with the defensive players. Because remember, under Mike McCarthy, I've said it multiple times, there was a disconnect. It was like, yeah, Mike was close to Dak, but it's like, who else
Go
was he
ahead, Cook.
close
Sis.
to?
I'm really glad you brought this
Yeah,
up. Go ahead, Cook, please.
yeah. It's like, who else was he
Right.
close to? And it's like, if you want, exactly, Andrew, that's real men shit. It's like, and if you want um these players to play
Yeah.
for you, these players to show up, these players to do what you want them to do, you're gonna have to build that relationship. We go back to the 90s, and everybody says, like, I played because of
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy and Troy are the two people that playmaker, Emmett, the offensive line, defensive players, they
Right.
all bring up. Exactly. He's got the players here, and that's what we need, because at the end of the day, it's the players that have to
Mm-hmm.
win the games. It's the players that have to win the games. And so you need to make sure, as a head coach, the thing with Mike McCarthy was, he was not a motivator. He could not get his team ready for the big moments
Right.
at all. He couldn't do it. Every single time we had a huge game. Not saying we didn't win no meaningful games, because yes, we did win meaningful games. I'm not saying that. But anytime we had a huge game, like, this is, everybody circled it on the schedule, we
Yep.
lost. We lost every single solitary time. And really, that's why the Joneses gave up on
Yeah.
Mike, because they gave him the keys in 2023.
Yeah.
They fired Kellen. They brought in Brandon Cooks. They brought in Gilmore. They signed people early. They did all the shit that Mike McCarthy said that he wanted. And what did he do with that? What? Please tell me, what did he do with that? Absolutely fucking nothing. To the point where you got the fans' hopes sky high. We fought, we battled, we the
Right.
second seed, we got home field advantage. We're thinking at least this year, everybody, including trolls, including what's his name, Colin Cowherd. Everybody was saying the Cowboys should be at least in the NFC Championship, at least. And what did you do, Mike McCarthy? What did your team do? Total, complete, wet the bed. That to me shows me that you did not have control over this
Right.
team, Mike. Because and it's not about losing. It's the fact that they went out there and they got their asses wiped up and down the field. And you can say, well, that was on the defensive side of the ball. You're the head coach.
Correct.
And the thing is, Mike McCarthy tried to act like I'm just the coach of the offense, and Dan Quinn's the coach of the defense. No, you are the head coach. And I'm glad that Shoddy is showing that he knows he's the head coach. So at the end of the day, Flus is great. He's, good
Right.
defensive coordinator, but he's not the head coach. So if he wants his players to perform, to be there, to show up as leaders and do all this shit, he knows he's got to do it. He's got to do it himself. And so I'm glad that he's taking the initiative. Jake Ferguson said the same thing. He said, I never had a coach that every time I'm in the ice bath, he comes and talks to me. Like, Shoddy is going out of his way to get these players to fully buy in. He's not good with just, oh, me and Dak are close.
Right.
Look at Boston. But Shoddy's not cool with, oh, me and Dak are close. We're good.
Right.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. And this is not me stirring the pot or throwing anybody under the bus, but I am wondering, why is CD not at OTAs?
That's
That is my one concern, because I'm like, CD, you was off last year, bro. Like, you was off.
And that was mentioned too. That was
I
mentioned in
know
the press
he's gonna-
conference about them missing time last season. He said Dak was at, at every event he was supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? Even CD, but he was holding out and so on and so forth. And that's a great point you bring up, Star. Like, where you got your contract this year. You're still sending out videos to be working out, prepping for the season. But I'm saying this.
Well, where are you, big dog? Like, I really do want to know. Like, maybe he's just missing. And y'all know, boss. Y'all know. Boss is to go. We already shouted him out, but y'all know Boss. Y'all know y'all need to go subscribe to Boss and give claps to Boss too, because Boss reached 9K, which is huge. Yeah. Hopefully he'll reach 10K, 20K, 30K. Keep going up. I've always tell Boss all the time, like, Boss, you should be the biggest. I always tell him that. So I'm so happy that he's grown to 9K, and hopefully throughout this season he continues to grow. But yeah, I just think that. Yeah. Oh, we were talking about CD. Yeah, I am a little bit concerned, and it could be though, because these coaches talked a lot about having individual plans and all of this stuff for the players. So it could be that they're like, "Hey, CD, we don't need you to come in. We need to work with the young guys. Like, you're fine. Doing your off season, whatever. This is the plan that we have for you. Blah blah blah." It's possible, but it just seems like everybody's here. But you're the only leader that's not there. So it does bring a question mark. This is not crapping on CD or anything like that. I'm just curious, because it's like Micah said, Shoddy came to him directly and said, I want you there. So I'm like, you didn't have that conversation with CD?
I wonder too. Clayton Adams mentioned in one of his early interviews that he was going to try to have a closer relationship with Dak and CD and more guys on the offense. So like you mentioned, like maybe he has a certain offside plan with them. But that is, that definitely stands to wonder. Especially if we're looking for a strong receiver to kind of back up CD. Someone to be on the side of him. It'll be great. And especially we're talking about developing guys like Tober and Brooks and Flournoy. Mingo. It'll be definitely to be able to create their relationship, to be able to have that chemistry on the field. If we are going to be having to develop guys like Mingo and Brooks, we got to have everybody in the room. And just like Micah made a great point, and not just about his contract, not about leadership, but it's about learning the playbook. You have a new head coach, building
exactly,
a lot on the
new head
side of the
coach.
ball.
new
So,
scheme. That's what I'm saying. Like there
yeah.
will be changes. There will be changes.
Yes, but you
So,
would think you would really think. I mean, especially with the talk of Guyton mentioned it, Terrence Steele mentioned about the kind of the change of attitude in the offensive line room. I mean, you can only imagine how the
mm-hmm.
wide receiver room feels with a new wide receiver coach. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, we got a new
yeah,
wide receiver coach, and it just feels like, and angry. I hope so too. Maybe CD, he just had already planned to do this just for the
yeah,
first week of OTAs or whatever, and he will be coming in it. But it's my hope that he comes in
yeah,
after the draft. I hope that he's not going to wait till training camp to come in. I mean, if he does, whatever, but it's like, I would hope that you would come a little bit sooner just to establish yourself as what I love about Micah, and we've seen the videos, like Micah is physically taking the D lineman under his wing to the point where he's having them
yeah,
train. Micah flew out his trainer that he typically works out with, I think, in
mhm,
Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, whatever, and he brought him here. And not only is he doing individual workouts, but he's having him work out with the whole D
right,
line group. See, that's what I want. I want to see a video with CD and Jalen
right,
Tolbert and Mingo and Turpin all working
right,
out together
right.
to get better. Because that, to me, Micah is saying my defense is not gonna be
Facts.
behind. He said we don't have. He said I don't want to be behind. I don't want to start off slow. I
And
need to
I
hit
love
the
that
ground
point because even Micah
running.
said that this is the first time I've ever been a part of something like this since I've been here. And he mentioned, about the change in the guard, D Law leaving. He didn't even say even while he was here, even he just wasn't talking about D Law. He said previous guys that were here. I was never. Well, he said that I wasn't part of something like that. Off season training, being a part of a group of guys training. You know what I'm saying? So I think you make a great point there that that speaks to his leadership. And that's a lot of guys that were depth. Even guys that they had just signed. You know what I'm saying? So it's I think that's really great that Mike is really taking that upon himself and also to show up as well. He could be, he could be doing things he did in previous years, not necessarily focusing on himself, but saying do like you said, training with his own personal trainer on his own time. So I just like that he's taking those guys under his wing. And I would hope, like you said, hopefully CD will be here after the draft. But with Micah and CD having that podcast they had just an off season a year ago, you guys both were just both talking about being Dax generals. You know what I'm saying? So I would hope that Mike will say, "Hey, CD,
Mhm.
I'm here." Not necessarily where are you, but I'm saying, "Hey, we said
Right.
we're going to do this together."
Yeah,
On his
where you
leadership
at?
tips. So I'm saying, like you said, like you said, maybe it was pre-planned, maybe CD had other plans, but so hopefully we'll see them soon, especially with
Yep.
this new coaching staff coming in. So I love that point you brought up, sis.
Yep. Absolutely. And I agree. I agree, Angie. Mozzie need to be in them workout videos.
Yeah,
Everybody needs to be everybody. This is what it's about. Like start
yeah,
building now. Start building now. Build the foundation now. So when it comes to training camp, we're pretty much just
yes,
practicing and perfecting our craft. We're not learning new plays. We're not doing. We're already on the
right,
same page because that's
yeah,
what's gonna take. That's what the championship teams
yeah,
do. You got to start early. You got to
yeah,
start early, right? So I think that but yeah, let's
yeah.
get into did you have anything left on that? If not, let's get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
our
we
pet
can do our
cats,
pick at.
and then we can do our
Yeah.
mock draft, and then we're gonna be out. And y'all see me tomorrow. I'll be on
Right,
the
facts.
draft
Y'all gonna
show.
be cooking. I
You see
can't.
me on
That's
the
gonna be
draft
a
show.
crazy show. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. But y'all see me tomorrow. I'm gonna be just taking shots. I'm gonna be so nervous. Like,
Every time they mention O
God
line
help us.
for never talk about Cowboys, this you got this shot. All y'all, everybody on that panel got to take a shot every time they mention.
Yeah, everybody take a
And
take a
like you said
shot.
earlier,
Yeah,
so
I'm
shout out to
serious.
Boss.
Like,
He's in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Booker being a last minute 30 minutes a 30 visit. That's gonna be that was kind of crazy. I'm saying we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, Boss. But I mean, shout out to you, shout out to the team trenches, and I mean, you guys make huge points about being able to keep up with other teams in the division because that's very important. Maybe other fans maybe have a tunnel vision of Cowboys hosting this Lombardi, but the first thing you got to do is get out your division. So looking at the trenches, looking at Philly, looking at Washington, even the Giants. I mean, that's kind of been their strong point as far as on the defensive side. So it's definitely important to be able to keep up around division rivals. But yeah, we can get. I don't know if you have any
thanks.
particular any particular position you want to go to, but I kind of went by what I thought was in my opinion position of need, and just some guys that I looked at along the way. He got to draft
Yeah, I mean, you can just give your list. We can go,
one by one.
first person on your list, like go
Okay.
back and forth, and then, yeah, just
Okay.
do it like that. I think that, and boss, you're not putting a case on nobody. Y'all been losing bad all day. Him and we've been losing so bad all day. It's crazy. But either way, so I would say my first number one that I want us to draft, uh, undeniably, is Quinshawn Judkins. That is my guy that I'm like, last year I had two pet cats. I had Cooper BB, I had
Right.
Paris Lee
Right.
Fowl. That I said I want us to draft. So this year, like those were my two guys. I'm like, I want us to draft. Not I'm okay with draft, no, but I would want us to draft him. So we could get Quinshawn Judkins. Y'all know if y'all go back 2 episodes ago, we broke down the running backs and showed him all that type of stuff. So y'all
Yeah.
check that episode out. But Quinshawn Judkins is what I think is the all around back, high pedigree. I think I forgot what his exact stats were, but he's the only guy that his whole college career. I think that he gets like 13 touchdowns to 1,300 yards. Like he is one of the, or if not one of the most consistent. And also when it comes to the relative athletic score, the RAS score, he tested the best out of
Yeah.
all running backs.
Yeah. And remember, guys, 3 fumbles and 800 touches. We need someone who keeps the ball in their hands.
Yeah, 3 fumbles, 800 touches. Boss is in this chat because he always want to bring up, well, in 2014, we was good with Murray. Yeah, but at least what Murray had fumbleitis. At least we know with Quinshawn Judkins, he won't be fumbling in big moments. And that's the one thing I love. Because when I evaluate prospects, it really matters. I don't care if you have 15 sacks. I'm like, okay, you have 15 sacks against who? It really matters to me how you show up in big games.
Yeah.
And every single game I watched, Quinshawn showed up in the big games, had the best game in the national championship. And what I love about Quinshawn as well is that he went with Trayvon Henderson, which people love Trayvon Henderson, but I love that him and Trayvon Henderson always competed. Like when you watch the film, it's so funny because it's like Quinshawn, he'll break a 90-yard run. Then here go Trayvon coming in, he'll break a 50-yard run. It's like, I love that. We need competitors. We need guys who want to win and who live in the lights. Because that's how it is.
And we always...
You need guys.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we always kind of had, not always, but I kind of miss those days of having that, that kind of that double punch in the backfield. We had the days of Pollard and Zeke. You know what I'm saying? Even I would say a little bit Rico and Pollard. You know what I'm saying? We did have Zeke for a little bit, but I just kind of missed that two-headed monster in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? So if we could just kind of get, we have kind of that speed already. We can kind of get Deuce going. We do have Connor Riley in the building. Hopefully we kind of get that going with the O-line. But we do have kind of a slicer, if you will. If we just kind of get that that hammer. You know what I'm saying? I would really be excited about the running back room.
Exactly. So that's my number one.
I'm going to go on the defensive side. And I know we didn't specifically talk about linebackers, but I was looking at this guy because they had a 30 visit with him. I believe Eberflus actually met with him when he went down in South Carolina. But Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker, 6'2", 235. Okay. You know what I mean? We have overshown. They did go out and get some some veterans in the free agency. Of course, we know about Murray and Sanborn from Chicago, Murray from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But I just, not necessarily later rounds. I don't know grades and things like that, so I don't know what round they would, end up picking him in. But them having a 30 visit, I feel like his play style is kind of like any means necessary. He has quarterback experience in high school, so it kind of gives him the ability to kind of redirect the front seven on the field. Maybe a backup line, a backup Mike linebacker. I know we have Maris Leofow kind of coming into his own, but I love his effort. Mm-hmm. Kind of this off-field things I kind of learned doing some research on him to kind of take care of his younger family. He said he did DoorDash to support his family, so it kind of just shows his work ethic, right? I mean, they talk about finding a guy who has exactly. We talk about character off the field things. Kind of guys who are hard workers. We just talk about Micah Parsons gathering the room and doing side workouts. So seeing his the work ethic, and just another note, just real quick before we kind of go on to the next guy. I just love that. I'm sorry. Oh, in his final year, he was the team captain, 82 tackles, 57 solo, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and he made the honor roll multiple times. So as far as off the field accomplishments, you know what I mean. So
Mm,
that mentality as well. So
okay,
he has the
yeah,
intellect, also the
yeah.
physicality on the field. You know what I'm saying? Brings pressure to the pocket
Has
and also
the
has the ability to
drive.
seal the edge. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I just and they already had he already kind of had like a meeting with Eberflus, the linebacker guru, if you will. So
Hmm.
I love that, and I hope that if they're able to kind of get this guy in the room, just another guy to kind of shore up that linebacker room. Because I know it was a while since we had bodies in that room, but now that we have a linebacker group. We don't no offense, Scott McCurley, but now that we have Eberflus in the room, and they're giving Eberflus, I don't want to say everything he wants, but if he
Okay.
can get his hands on these guys, we could really just shore up that linebacker room. We really need the second level is very important. If they don't decide to maybe double down on DT, and in fact I do have some DTs on my list, but they decide not to double down on those. We can definitely use some help shoring up that second level.
Absolutely. That's a good one. See, I love this because it's like we're not gonna have
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
people. So in Demetrius Knight, he's out of what?
He's
What
from
conference?
South Carolina. Yeah.
South Carolina. Okay. South Carolina had a
They had a
lot
lot
of
of defensive. They had a lot of defensive players, especially early
they had
on.
a lot of
Yeah,
defensive
they had a
players
lot.
this
Yeah,
year. Yeah,
yeah.
they had a lot. Okay, so moving on to my
All
number
right.
two. Now I thought long and hard about this. And I'm still okay with the other option. Actually, I would love the other option, but if I had to have my pick, if I say who's my pick cat for the wide receiver room, it's absolutely going to be Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
I love Matthew
Yes.
Golden. I know people not some people not high on him. Some people say he only had 1 year of production. Some people say he's just a CeeDee Lamb clone, but I think that he's
Yeah.
more than that. I look at Matthew Golden and I'm saying, and one thing that stood out to me from the games that I watched above all other prospects was the route running. And I feel like, before I watched Matthew Golden, another guy that I'm high on is Emeka Ibuka. I would love to have
Yeah.
Emeka
Facts.
Ibuka. I would love to have Ted. I would
Yeah.
love to have Ted. So this is not me saying I don't like these guys, because I do like these guys. And if we pick these guys, I'm going to jail. But I'm saying that but I'm saying with Matthew Golden, it's just he's my pet cat because I feel like this guy really comes alive. Just like Boss was saying, he said he loves players too that show up
Right.
in the big moments. He comes alive in the big moments, and I can't ignore
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? I know people can say, "Oh well, he only had a couple good games, and Bond was hurt." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get all of that. I get Bond was hurt. I get all of this stuff." But when I turned on the tape versus the best competition, he showed up and he
Yeah.
showed out. I think the route running, the separation, so that's a Dak friendly
Hmm.
target, right? He's not super tall. Reason why I can understand Ted over him is because Ted's 6'4". Golden's
Yeah.
5'11" or 6 foot, whichever one. I've seen both on many sites, so I don't know. But I'll just say he's 6 foot, right? But the body control, the ability to catch really bad
Yeah.
passes, the adjustments that he can do. I never see him panic when the ball is in there. He's a guy that when you throw it up, he's coming down with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now I know it's in the past he might have had some drop issues, but I didn't really see drop issues from him in the games that I watched personally. But I think he greatly improved on that this year too, compared to how he was at Houston. But Matthew Golden, and I know people say you can't see the speed. I'm like, listen, I see the separation. I see 4 or 5 yard, 3 yards
Right.
of separation, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that he also adds he's not the most physical wide receiver, but I think that he also adds that. And to me, what I get from Matthew Golden is he's going to come here and work, and he also has that air about him. And I like my wide receivers a little bit arrogant. I like them a
Yeah.
little
That
bit arrogant
confidence.
because
Yeah.
I need to have the confidence. I need you to come in here. I know Matthew Golden's going to step in the wide receiver room day one, and he's not going to be intimidated by CeeDee Lamb
Facts.
at all. Like that's
Yeah.
what I need. I need wide receivers because everybody that we got behind CD right
They
now,
know it.
they know they're
They
not they're not
exactly.
they're not sniffing
Period.
CD. They
Facts.
know that.
Facts.
They know that. And CD knows
Yeah.
that. CD knows you're nowhere near close to me. It would be laughable to even bring you up in
Yeah.
the same category. So I know that when Golden comes, he's going to do all he
Yeah.
can, right, to compete and to be like CD was when he came in here, which was, love Coop, love MG, but at the same time, he knows who
Yeah.
he is. So I'm not saying he's gonna come here and be like, yeah, this is my room now, whatever. But I'm saying that I know he's gonna work, he's gonna put in the effort. And from day one, he's gonna be like, I'm that dude, and he's gonna do what he's gotta do to make sure that he's on pace, on
Yeah.
pace with that. So I think that yeah, that's my number two pet cat for sure would be Matthew
Yeah.
Golden. It's like I'm going to jail with the other wide receiver, but this guy, I might get put under the jail if we
Right.
get
No,
him.
I'm
You know
with
what
you.
I'm saying? So
I'm with you.
that's
That's a great point. Like,
yeah.
Golden or Ibuka. Like, yeah. Even I mentioned earlier before that Ibuka was kind of similar to CD in some respects, but yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. You know what I'm saying? Two, and not saying he's CD Lamb, but two CDs on the team that we could develop into a near CD Lamb. Like, I'm not complaining. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're not
I'm with it.
complaining. Exactly.
And
Okay,
my
so who's
next
your
guy,
number
I saw
two?
Ty Church mention safety from Texas. I'm assuming he means Makuba. He was definitely, yeah, he was definitely
Andrew
high on this. He was
Makuba.
actually a guy I was going to mention. I think I mentioned him a couple weeks ago. He's definitely one of my pet cats. So I'll say him, but I'll mention another guy, another safety I saw, Malachi Starks. I think he's highly rated in this draft as well. And,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Malachi
from
Starr
Georgia,
from
6'1",
Georgia.
197. I just feel like he's a
Yeah.
magnet to the ball. Like, he possesses the absolute, in my opinion, I call him the cheat code. I'm saying, I know there are not a lot of safeties who play,
Okay.
spy all the time. Who come down and play spy. But I feel like he follows the quarterback. He has a great eye for the pocket. I love his pursuit on the field. His closing speed is crazy. His ability to change direction. And like I said, I think he will make an excellent spy in the NFL for maybe running backs. I feel like he's a maniac around the line of scrimmage and stopping the run and has little problem disengaging from blocks. And he got hops. I love that he has no problem going up and reaching for the ball. We talk about our receivers possibly high pointing the ball, but I mean, a lot of teams go down the field on us. So we need somebody who's not going to get burnt. You know what I'm saying? That's when look for who can't track the ball. You
Yeah.
feel me? So I've seen enough of safeties,
Yeah.
quarterback really lost back there in the backfield. So I love his energy. I love how, like I said, I love how he comes downfield. A sure wraparound tackle who can also
Mm-hmm.
go sideline to sideline. Nickel safety. I would like. Like I said, I will say that I would like him to adjust his technique in man coverage. But outside of that, I feel like he's very sticky in coverage, and I feel like our backfield, can use all the help. I mean, we have Diggs returning, well, eventually coming back. Carson also coming back from injury as well, and we just heard about Gilly, being in the Star, and Cowboys Nation was like, bring Gilly back. And I'm saying, I think I seen Angie earlier tweet, hashtag bring Gilly back. So, and I'm not mad at that at all. I mean, Gilly obviously, I won't say obviously because I'm not there, but I feel like he has a great relationship with the Cowboys. I mean, even Steven, he felt like no problem to say, hey, sometimes players like to come by and say hi, but it necessarily mean they're having a deal. But hey, we love having him in the building, and if he feels so freely to pop by, quote unquote, and say hi, I love the possibility, maybe Gilly returning. I mean, we definitely need help. I mean, there was even some Cowboys Nation. I know he's older, but we're talking about him being here last season with some of the guys we had back there. Oruwariye, Andrew Booth.
Yep.
I mean, I would have taken Gilly last year, so I know he's older, a little bit on the older side this year, but I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yep. Okay. And so Malachi Starks, yeah. I think that, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at some of the safeties, but I didn't look at them too much in depth just because we have so much depth there. But I think we did bring in Malachi Starks, and listen, we bring in Malachi Starks and push Dono or either one of them. Can we please get one of them off the team?
Yeah.
Like, please. You know what I'm saying? Because we have not had a playmaking safety. Those two, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, they're just about average safeties. They're not playmakers. They're not consistent. I'm not saying they haven't made any plays, but they're not consistent playmakers. And I know we have Wanye, and I know we have Bell, who's coming back from injury. I think Wanye is also coming back from it. Wanye, he did play a little bit. I think he came back from injury during the season. But either way, I think Andrew Makuba is intriguing. I haven't watched him, but based off of like what you said, if we have a safety that can cover, but that can also come down and be a box safety, like you said, and help
Yeah.
out with run support, I feel like go ahead and get him. I feel like he would be a pick where he's just going to be the best value pick, and I can't be mad at them picking him. Especially if you feel like this guy is going to be able to add a next level
Yeah.
to our defense, something that we do not have out of Malik Hooker and Donovan
Exactly.
Wilson. So I'm
Yeah.
all the way.
I mean, because I don't know, and this is the
All right,
last note
so-
on that. I don't know because I don't know if there's any maybe post June 1, maybe contract things, maybe with the Hooker or Wilson. So maybe we can find some value with those two. Maybe we could do something post June 1. I don't know, but like you said, just to kind of free up some room.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And I'm with you, Stephen. I love Kenneth Grant. Don't get me wrong. I love Kenneth Grant. But my other pet cat is Deion Walker out of Kentucky.
Mm.
I want us to draft him. He's 6'7", 331 pounds, former basketball player. Now I know people said he's got some motor issues. What's up, Kelvin? And I can see that he does have a little bit of motor issues, which means that the tank can run out. The tank can run out. But what I'm saying is, when I sit here and watched him, he was the most disruptive defensive tackle that I think I watched. And, just like a few of my notes, I said, and he has some flaws, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes his consistency splitting the double teams is not great, although he can do it. But I said destroys guard and gets pressure quick, causing negative play, very strong at the point of attack, not really getting pushed out of gaps, destroys 3 blockers.
Wow.
And causes sack. Real disruptive in the middle, slinging guards like rag dolls. Sheds blocks. I said shed blocks well. I said he was dark because this is his game versus Ole Miss, but I said he was Dart's worst nightmare. I mean, he was tearing Dart up. He can line up at all positions, right? They even rush him at 6'7", which he used to be a basketball player, so he's an athlete. They even rush him. They rush him standing up. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm not saying that's the best thing, but I'm saying he was able to get pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a guy. What did I say? I just think my comp for him is, people gonna call me crazy, but my comp for him is Chris Jones.
Oh wow. Okay.
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
That's my comp for him. I know people will be like, what? But shout out to my guy Lou. We argue, but he told me, I see Chris Jones. He said it's just the motor that's really the issue, and some consistency things he's got to work on. But I think his ceiling, is Chris Jones, where he's just that disruptive, unblockable, athletic force in the middle that you just cannot guard. So if we could somehow get Deion Walker, I don't know where people really got him ranked, probably like 3rd round. If we could get him in the 3rd round, we don't got a 4th, but let's say we traded for a 4th, that'd be something I definitely I would want to get. I think that, I'm not saying he's the best offensive tackle in the draft, like the most complete, but I feel like he's the most disruptive, and I feel like at that height, we're talking about Deion Walker, Deion Walker out of Kentucky. But I think, and he's an Eberflus type, because Eberflus loves those 6'6", 6'7" type of people, type of defensive tackles. So I feel like if we can get him, that'd be great. I don't know if we showed any interest in him. As far as 30 visits, I gotta look that up. But I would love to have Deion Walker from Kentucky.
Yeah, I love that pick. I mean, just a big body in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned earlier with DTs. I mean, cause like even mine, because like my next person is DT as well. I know early on when we first talked about them, I mentioned Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee, but I also have another guy on the line, edge rusher actually, because they talked about edge rusher being a sneaky pick in this draft, which I don't know because I feel like not. I know it's not exactly the same, but I know they put a lot towards O line, not the exact same, but I feel like they put a lot on edge rusher as well. So when they said that that could be a dark horse pick or a
Right.
sneaky pick, I was kind of like thrown off. But we're looking at some of the guys. Jordan Birch is a name that a guy kind of looked at.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do
I
love
just
Jordan
love just
Birch.
his energy. I'm from Oregon, for the 279,
Hmm.
6'4" edge rusher. He actually transferred from South Carolina. We just
Yeah.
talk about like there were a lot of guys that they visited with through South Carolina. He actually transferred from South Carolina. 170 career tackles, 33 tackles for loss, 16 sacks. His missed tackle rate is under 12%. Like I just love this guy. Versatility along the line. And I know we got, Solomon Thomas in free agency. I know we have, a lot of guys, we talked about earlier, Sam Williams, of course, Micah Parsons, I'm saying, dang, I'm drawing a blank, but I know we have other edge rushers coming back that we know that we have that solidify that spot. They went in free agency, signed Turner from the Saints. But
Hmm.
I love Burch's energy on the field, an expert at sealing the edge. His length gives him an advantage against the ball carrier. His ability to go from speed to power allows him to be a disruptor in the pocket and knock tackles back into the quarterback's lap. He has a relentless motor that keeps him in play and stays around the ball through the whistles. He has offensive experience as a running back slash wide receiver, and he had 6 batted balls in 2024. Which I mean, I think having more chaos along the line, in my opinion, just is better. Like I mentioned earlier for the second level, I think that if you could stop the ball carrier or stop passes at the actual line of scrimmage, that would be even better. You know what I mean? I think bringing back guys like Osa, saying if we do draft a true big body in the middle, I just think that having guys who have so many skills along the line and we can just show different looks with a new coach coming in. We already have a new coach coming in, so I think it just kind of makes it a little bit spicier. You know what I mean? Having guys who can do so much along the line, so you
Hmm.
just never really know what you're truly going to get when you have that. You can move
Yep.
Micah around, move a Solomon Thomas around, have also do his thing. You know what I'm saying? But also guys on the edge. Sam Williams
Yep.
trying to get work back in as well. So I mean, it's just, I mean, like I
Yep.
mentioned earlier, I know edge rushers for me is kind of a little bit of overhaul if they decide to draft, but if they do decide to draft a guy, I would love, what I'm saying, a guy like Jordan Birch.
Oh yeah, I like Jordan Birch a lot. I For the versatility because I think I thought he was a defensive
Yeah,
tackle, but he's
right. Yeah, me
technically an
too.
edge.
When I
Um,
was first looking at
so
DTs, and I was like, oh, so he's an
just
edge rusher. Yeah.
he's big. I think in the game I got, he got an interception. The game I watched, one of the games I watched, I think he got an interception or almost, and that was just from pure play recognition. So he's a very
Yeah.
heady player. So I'm totally would totally be on board with Jordan Birch. And so what is that?
Yeah.
Three? We done three each. Okay, so two more. So the next one I will say is, um, I'm gonna say the next one is Trey Amos. Trey Amos out of
Okay.
Ole Miss. Uh, I watched him recently, and I mean he may be the best corner in the draft. I know people like Will Johnson. I do like Will Johnson as well. I think Will Johnson is a very heady, very smart corner. What's it called? Zone
Okay.
type of corner, right? So I do like Will Johnson quite a bit, and I think Will Johnson is just his knock is that he didn't do any of his testing, and we don't know what his 40 time is looking like.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He does have ball skills. You know what I'm saying? I literally have in my notes he's a textbook zone corner, right? His feet are constantly moving. But his weakness, Will Johnson's weakness is tackling. You know what I'm saying? He's not a guy that is going to come up and make plays. Which Trey Amos is
Yeah.
the opposite. I like Trey Amos because Trey Amos is a complete corner. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And I'll be honest with Barron. I gotta watch more of Jahade Barron. I'm not gonna sit here and cap act like I watched him because I didn't. But I know a lot of people are high on him. But I will say for Trey Amos, he's 6'1", so he's got length. He seems to have really long arms too, from what it looked
Hmm.
like on film. And he ran a 4.43,
Okay.
so we know that we can
Yeah.
trust that speed. Watching him too, like he is what he's a corner. He's
Yeah.
very sticky, stays in the hip pocket, can live and press. And I like him specifically for our team because Shotty said, I think they asked him, they were like, what kind of cornerbacks do you look for? And he said,
Mm-hmm.
press corners who can play
Yep.
press man,
And you
length.
read my mind,
That's
sis. And
Trey Amos.
he said that speed is something you don't have to coach. He said that's something they're looking for. So
Right. You don't have to coach. And so I think Trey Amos is a guy that we definitely, and I heard that we are, interested in him. But I mean, I think he's got a great, he can do whatever, play man, play zone, very high Q. I literally say he's a very heady player. You know what I'm saying? And he has he's a shut down corner.
wow.
Which means when he's targeted, ball is on the ground.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to see. The only time I saw balls getting kept caught on him is when the wide receiver did a lot at the top of his route and got him on the comeback route. That's the only time that I saw him get a catch on him. But anything else, I mean, there was 2 to 3 they tried to get touchdowns on him.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so he's that, to me. He's that dude. You know what I'm saying? He's that dude. Not he's a corner. You know, sometimes you have those corners that panic, and he's not that at all. And you can really see, like, because even when he's staying in phase with the wide receivers or tight end or whoever he's covering, he's not even going full speed.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how you know that, like, he's a high IQ athlete, long length, textbook club cover corner. I feel like you bring him in today, and he's competing with Bland.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I firmly believe, like, he comes in today, he's for sure better than Seaton.
Right.
He's for sure better than Seaton, unless he has some type of injury setback. So I know if he comes to this roster today, he's competing with Bland for cornerback.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what that's my honest opinion on Trey Amos. So I would love if we got Trey Amos and he's a top of the second guy. So if he somehow fell to 44 and the Cowboys picked him, we got us a good one.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Well, mine kind of out of left field for me because I know we were talking about linemen and actually do have an offensive lineman. I think he's a higher rated offensive lineman, so I'm not sure if we actually able to get him. But I didn't see his name, and I know there's a lot of competition at guard right now. But he's actually a left tackle, Josh Connolly Jr., 6'5", out of Oregon. Yes, as well.
Oregon.
And I when he was in high school, started as a running back, then transferred to the offensive line. He allowed just 9 pressures in 2024. Excellent in reaching the second level in run blocking, creating skinny lanes for the running back, 5+ yards, and does a great job keeping his wide receivers clean with sealing off blocks. Quick recovery time in pass blocking, and an anchor that allows him to reset and push back on quicker pass rushers. I love the fact that he tries different techniques at the line, from swipes to strikes, and his overall power shows through his vice grip hold. I feel like his specialty is pulls and screens, and he's only 21. Star, like, I mean, we talk about youth on the line. I mean, and then we have,
wow.
Just in my opinion, I mean, I don't think we have, that much depth at tackle right now. And it's just, I mean, I know we have Guyton. We missed some games. You know what I'm saying? Like, he missed some games last season, and a lot of people were going around possibly putting Tyler Swift there. I don't want any more. I mean, I know I'm talking about the best 5, but I don't want any more musical chairs. Like, I want them to take the opportunity right now to pick, their best 5, of course, but to pick the 5 at those, certain positions, and to keep it moving forward. You feel what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, and he has also, you talk about a basketball player, he has a basketball background. Like I mentioned, so he has great footwork in the phone booth. You know what I mean? So, I mean, especially those guys who are going to be on the island. I mean, we especially as far as depth. I mean, he'll have time to, to kind of progress behind the scenes. And when we've seen the time that Awesome Richards, Nate Thomas, we didn't really hear a lot about these guys, but I mean, we've been hearing that they've been kind of developing behind the scenes. So we kind of see, a little bit from them this year. But kind of just take me a guy like Connolly, or if he's highly rated, maybe maybe a later round guy. I do have some other guys on the list, but maybe if he could pick up a lineman. I mean, just some other names I do have on the list. Another, just quickly, another tackle I do have also listed, Johnny Cornelius. He's listed as an offensive lineman, but also from Oregon as well. So I mean, I think if we just kind of shore up that tackle, space. I mean, I know we have a lot of competition at guard, but I mean, I think that the tackle is important.
A tackle. I'm with you, sis, because I always say, like, if Terrence Steele goes down, who's our right tackle?
Literally.
Like we don't really have depth. We don't really have
Yeah.
depth at tackle. The only one you can say is Alshon
Facts.
Richards, and we don't know if he can play right. We know he can play
Exactly.
left guard. I think they played him a little bit at right guard, but can he play right tackle? I don't know. I
Right.
hope so because I mean, if you can play both guard positions, you should be able to play both
Hmm.
tackle positions. But we still do need. I'm for that. I think that's absolutely true, and that's why I think that if we pursue an offensive lineman, we should get an offensive lineman that is versatile, that can
Yes.
do both. Because as much as I love Tyler Booker, he's amazing, phenomenal talent, hands down. But I think that he's a guard. That's it. You're not gonna move him to center. You're not gonna
Yeah.
move him to tackle. And I feel like the Cowboys do really like players that, especially on the offensive line, that are versatile, that can play multiple
Yeah.
positions. So that's why I think the Cowboys are likely to draft someone like a Kelvin Banks or, um, somebody like a Will Campbell if he
Yeah.
fail, or Armand Mimbo, these types of guys, which I love Armand Mimbo's film. But yeah, I think the Cowboys are more likely to draft a tackle and convert him to guard than drafting a
Right.
true guard. Or at least if they draft a guard, it would have to be like a guard center, or something like a lineman that has more versatility than
Yeah.
just your guard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But obviously, they are interested in Tyler Booker. I don't think they would have bring him in for a 30
Yeah.
visit if they weren't. So they are interested in him. They are interested in Jonas Survive from Arizona and stuff like that. But I definitely with you
Yeah.
sis on that. And I think my last person, I'm struggling. I'm like, should I say this
Yeah.
person or this person? Um, I guess I'll just throw out two names that I think we should draft. One is Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma. I've been looking at Danny for years now, and yeah, he's still just as good. I don't know really why he dropped down. I'm not sure why he dropped down draft boards, but I feel like 2 years ago he was like really high, but I think that he's top 10 in Oklahoma in tackles all time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's a green dot. He's a true middle linebacker. So great block shedding, patient, which means he doesn't just like shoot the gaps. Some linebackers just shoot gaps and then they miss big. Then there's a huge run or something like that. He knows how to sift through the
Hmm.
trash, right? He's really hard to block. Knows how to set the edge, can blitz. You know what I'm saying? He's a sure tackler. He literally had double digit. Every game he's probably going to have double digit
Yeah.
tackles. You know what I'm saying? So Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma, I would definitely take a look at him. If he's on the board somewhere fourth, fifth round, sixth round, go ahead and get him because that's a linebacker that comes in right now and is going to help you today. And I think that because he's versatile, he can do everything. Like I said, he's a true middle linebacker. Yeah, what's his name? Sweatsinger from UCLA. I have not watched him, but I do know that we were interested in him. I think like Flus met with Knight. I think he also met with
Okay.
Sweatsinger. I think he met with him individually. I think at his pro day or whatever. So he's possible to be a pick as well, a high pick. And then another guy that I like from SMU is Elijah
Okay.
Roberts. Um, I think that that's another name to look at. He's a local guy, so I really do feel like the Cowboys would likely, be interested in drafting him. But I think that he's a guy. He's gonna make plays. He's team captain. He's gonna force fumble. He's a power guy, so he's gonna force fumble. Can shed blocks. You know what I'm saying? Really good with his hands. Always looking to rip the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He can rush sitting down. He can rush standing up. You know what I'm saying? Good with keeping contained. Doesn't get pushed off the ball. So that's another edge rusher that I feel like if you're kind of looking for like a D Law type ish, you know what I'm saying? But a guy that probably, I think he's bigger than D Law because they said he's 280
Oh
pounds.
wow.
So he's pretty big. He also ran a 4.78. So to be 280 pounds and running, and the announcer in the game said he was 295. And and at the combine though, he was 284.78. That's pretty good. for that
Yeah.
size. So I definitely think that he's an athlete and he's a guy that you can just add to in the lower rounds. He's a guy you can just add to the edge room that I think he'll help you out for sure. Like I feel like right now he's likely better than Peyton Turner right now. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I definitely would take a look at him for sure. Elijah Roberts from
Okay,
SMU.
awesome, awesome. Now, my last guy, I did have now I did see early this week that they did add James Pierce Jr. I love that they added him at the last minute. You know, I kind of favored him a little because he's from Tennessee, played with Tennessee, and I love the DTs that he played around. So James Pierce Jr. is kind of like my last guy, but I kind of want to add on a little bit to the offensive side because I did have a lot of defensive guys, but maybe just one final receiver that maybe on the smaller side, so kind of 5'11", 200 pounds. I'm sorry, Jalen Noel from Iowa, 4.39. Yeah,
Whoa,
yes,
I like Jalen
we
Noel.
talked
He's
earlier.
good.
Talk about speed. You know what I mean? Breaks arm tackles. Just a little bit here from my notes. 4.39, 40 speed. Fights for the ball and plays with intent. Breaks arm tackles and stretches himself to bend the corners. His route running is dynamic and his route tree is expansive. He has special team experience, which I believe aids in his processing on the field, which is super sharp. And with that, he averages about 21 yards per kick return. And his breakaway speed creates separation on another level, in my opinion. And I mean, you talk about playmakers, guy who can stretch the field, or even if we talked about earlier, these guys who have similar traits to CD. Maybe we kind of see CD maybe stretching the field. We talk about bringing a guy who can stretch the field. Maybe now, if we do bring in a slot receiver or someone who can kind of work more, kind of those, short routes, some of those slants, have a guy who kind of work inside and then, have CD, for stretching the field. So, just really just for me, kind of talking to myself, I don't want to talk myself out of these guys who can bring something to the team just because quote unquote we have CD. We could use CD in other ways and then kind of bring these other guys along. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
I would love a guy like I would love a guy like Jalen
Hmm.
because of that, because of the speed. That breakaway speed I think is very important because these last couple of years you talk about guys being able to get separation. And really not saying Turpin has been the only standout, but Turpin sometimes can get that separation. So I think that helps. And I love that I don't know if he's put necessarily an emphasis on it, but I love that shot he has is talking about speed because I think that point
Right.
of separation and these guys being able to make plays, can play into that. And I don't know for sure if maybe guys like Mingo, Brooks, Flournoy, they necessarily have that speed factor. Like maybe they can high point the like Brooks can high point the ball. Flournoy
Right.
is
High point,
physical.
but it's like
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And Tolbert,
you're right.
fights for the ball too. He can stretch the field at times, but I think we need a guy who can do these things for sure. CD can stretch the field. Turpin can get separation. If we can bring guys who can do these things for sure, and then maybe we can try to find strength in these guys that we do already have. But I think it would kind of shore up the room just a little bit more if like Shadi mentioned, kind of bring in a guy who has that speed factor. So yeah, Jalen Noel was definitely a guy I'm saying who I looked at kind of his film and it was like, man, like I would love just a guy like that who kind of bring that spark. A guy who can especially if cause I don't know what they're going to do with Turpin right now. I don't know if they're going to use Turpin more offensive side or if they're going to keep. I know they're going to use Turpin sometime on offense, but we don't know for sure what his role is going to be. So I just
Right.
just want a for
Right.
sure speed guy who can create those plays. If we do have CD stretch the field, why not have a slot receiver who can make those plays on the inside and just kind of move the ball down the field that way, kind of in addition to the run game.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I love Jalen Noel. And somebody asked me how I feel about his teammate Jaden Higgins. I like Jaden Higgins too, but I do think that Jalen Noel, I think that he was more of the X factor
Yeah,
on that team than Jaden Higgins. Even though people, the size of Jaden Higgins is what's so appealing, and I really do like Jaden Higgins, but I think Jalen Noel is not. You can see the speed on
exactly.
film, and you can see the route running, you can see the explosive plays.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He seemed to be the go-to guy. When they needed a big play and stuff like that, like they're going to Jalen Noel, like he's getting multiple touchdowns. So I'm definitely on board with that. That's definitely a wide receiver that if he's sitting there, I think people have him like probably like a third, fourth,
Yeah,
fifth round pick. So it's like if you can pick him up, for as another wide receiver for value, I'm for that. Another guy that I'm for is we can get both of the Texas guys. We can get Golden and we can get Isaiah Bond because I would take Isaiah
right,
Bond as well. I'm not taking
right.
if he's sitting there,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and take. You know what I'm saying? Like those are wide receivers for sure. And one more guy that I forgot to mention that he's also one of my pick cats that I feel like we should get him. If we don't end up like I would try to target him in the third round would be Brashard
Oh
Smith
my
from
gosh,
SMU.
sis, the running
Uh,
back. I was gonna
yeah,
mention him, but I was like, you
yeah,
know what?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I know you talked about running backs earlier. Yes, Brashard Smith. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
no, but
man,
Rashard Smith,
his
I
footwork
love Rashard
does it for
Smith.
me.
I think footwork, the agility, the ability to go 0 to 100
Yes,
quick, like
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. He's a converted wide receiver, so he has very good
yeah,
hands, elite
yeah. Talk
hands and
about
stuff like that.
speed. Oh
So
my gosh,
listen,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brashard Smith would do it for me.
speed 4.3 guy. Yeah, I'm like, if so, we could target him. If we don't go running back in
Yeah,
the first 2 rounds, I would definitely get him. Like, and if you pick up an extra second or you pick up an extra third, you should make one of those picks for
absolutely.
Shard Smith.
I'm with it, and I would
100%.
even be like, look, a Deuce. I'd be like, look, Deuce, I'm
100%.
sorry, but yeah, you got the competition right now,
Yeah,
bro.
Steve, yeah, no,
Yeah,
Deuce is out, and I love Deuce, and I was a queen of the Deuce
yes,
fan club. But if we give Brashard Smith, it's like we've got to
yeah.
be real here. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
maybe one of the
So
veterans,
yeah,
and
I definitely.
maybe Sanders could be out, and maybe keep Deuce to see what he can do. But
Yeah, exactly. I probably would get rid of the
yeah,
veterans first before I get rid of Deuce. But I'm saying if they did cut Deuce, because they're like, listen, we
yeah,
got Brashard now,
yes,
I
fact.
understand because Brashard is he's also taller. Deuce is like five
Yeah,
eight. You know what I'm saying? So you got a taller target, former wide receiver. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with him outside
right.
out the backfield. But he can also run the ball, not just outside the tackles, in
Hmm.
between the tackles. He's a patient runner. Like I said, 0 to 100. I
Yeah,
love him. I love Rashard Smith. So if we could get him, I'm
facts.
fully on board with that. But with that being said, I think we should go ahead and get into our
Yes, let's
mock
do it. Let's
draft.
do it.
I think because of time, we only
All
gonna do
right.
one. We're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
one mock draft. We're gonna do multiple. How many rounds should we do? Should we do like five? Should we do all
Yeah,
7 rounds, or just
I
do
was gonna
like
say 5.
five? Or
I
just
was
do
gonna say
like
5. We should do 5. Or,
okay, ladies, let's do 5 rounds.
will it go up to 7?
Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll let you do all
Let's see what
7
7
You
do.
want
Yeah,
to do
because we
all
don't need
seven
to do
rounds?
1. Let's see what 7 gets us. Yeah.
Okay, let's do 7. Okay, so let me hold on. I gotta get out of here.
I thank you guys for rocking with us. I think we really had a fire show for you guys tonight. I think
Yeah, this was a
yes.
great show. I appreciate
Yeah,
y'all
thank
so much
everybody. Yeah,
for
coming
rocking
through.
with us.
Angry coming through. Boss came through. You know what I'm saying? Like our regulars coming through.
Exactly. Angry Boss, we appreciate you. All the content creators, but all are just follow Angie and
Yeah.
Rico and whoever else, Jack on
Right. Stephen White.
Filthy and Stephen
Yes.
White and
Yeah.
everybody, Hoodie
Yes.
Kush
We love
and
y'all rocking with us tonight.
Keystone
Yes,
was in
facts.
here. We appreciate all y'all. We miss y'all. And Kelvin came in, Lee
Mm-hmm.
Harrison. Trying to make sure I'm not missing anybody. But Ty, oh my God, Ty
Yes.
Church.
Ooh, yes.
Literally all of y'all, Jameson and
Facts.
Taylor. Like we really appreciate all of y'all being with us. And if we miss y'all, we apologize. Charge it to our heads,
Right.
not our
Right.
hearts.
Nation.
But okay, so we're gonna do 7. I feel like we should go fast because slow is so. I tried it out earlier. It's so slow. So I'm like,
All right,
bro,
bet.
but yeah. So all right, guys. So we get into the draft, and y'all can give y'all's input as well. You know, what I'm saying we'll be looking at the chat, but let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So here we got
Oh,
some
okay.
trades. So it's saying, do we want to move to 23? And then get pick 54, and then next year's second.
Ooh.
Pick 54 is what?
54? Is that still second round?
54. I think so. I think 54. Yeah, I think 54 would be like bottom of the
Yeah.
second, right?
That sounds about right because
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so but 23 is a
Yeah.
bit low. But they saying, okay, you give us 12, and we'll give you 23 and an extra second round pick and a second
what's
next year. So
149? 149 is what?
interest-
Fifth round pick? Sixth round?
Possibly. I don't know.
Let me
Can
see.
you look it up?
Let me see.
I don't know. Yeah, see what rounds. 149. 149 is what 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 149 I think 149 would be like in the 5th or 6th round. But let me see. What? Whoops. Pick is.
Let's see.
Oh, is before in the NFL draft. Yeah, it's a second round pick.
Okay.
Yeah. When 149, the pick is 149 in the NFL draft. Yeah, that's a 5th round pick. And then let's look and see they got another trade. Okay, this one's better to me.
Ooh, yes.
Because we only move down 4 spots and we get
second round.
We get a higher second round. Oh, because that's right below our second round.
Like 3 away.
Like we would pick a 44, right, and then pick again. And let me check this one. No. Mm-mm. You want to take? You want to say at 12, or you want to take?
Yeah, I'm with it.
You want to take
the Cardinals?
Take the one for Cardinals. Okay, let's accept it. Okay, now if all that, we're not doing all that. Yeah, no, we good. No, okay. So,
bro.
All right, well, you know who I want to pick, but let's see here. You know, we can look at all the stuff, okay? Because right now the value here: Matthew Golden, Mike Green, Derek Harmon, Malachi Starks.
Harmon was on my list too. So, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Harmon. Yeah. So we got RB.
Ooh,
I'm good there. We can pick in the next
Golden?
round. Wide receiver.
And Egbuka.
Yeah, and Egbuka. Then I'm not picking these niggas. But we could look at it. I mean, Tyler Booker's there, but it's like, I'm not picking it. Look at defense. Let's see if there's anybody crazy there.
DT though?
Yeah, I'm like, the edges, I like them, but I don't need to pick you with 12. Like, even I looked at Mike Green. I like Mike Green, but he's got some technical issues for sure. I didn't like people like Jahad Campbell. I hate this one, but there's always a random guy everybody loves that I hate, so I'm not surprised. Then the safety, so it's like, what you think since Matthew?
I'm not mad at the receiver, like either Golden or Egbuka, and I like Golden.
Okay, let's get Golden. Woo! Let's get Golden. Woo! We can't lose at 12. Angie, I'm not high on Luther, but I know if Angie was in charge, she definitely 63. They're saying move out of no. Because they're basically saying move out of the second round.
Yeah, like the very
basically they'll give you 2 third-round picks, basically. Yeah, I'm good on that. Oh no, 98. Yeah, they say you move to the bottom of the third round
for a second
get our second round pick. Now we good.
Man, please. Unless they include I mean, that was a Dolphin. Unless you got somebody named Tyreek Hill on that, Jay. I don't think so.
Harold Fanning went that high. Shit, I was hoping to get him. Okay,
and that's crazy because I mean, cut you off, but the Bears have a tight end over there. That's like one of their main weapons. I forget his name right now, but yes,
Cole Clement. Yeah. They have Cole Clement.
Wow.
But let's be honest, is Harold Fanning is crazy. Like,
and Clement been there for a few years too. He's been there for a grip.
Yeah, exactly. He. Okay, so here we got Travion Henderson,
Caleb Johnson. Okay,
Caleb. Got my guy Quinn.
He's still there. Okay.
I know we don't pick. Oh no, but we got 2 second round picks.
Hey, Tutton was there too.
So let's see.
I saw Tutton down there. Ooh.
Yeah, Tootin. I love Tootin. But okay, let's go to the defense.
He's still there.
Kenneth Grant.
Oh my God.
Kenneth Grant is there.
We need, man. Oh. And TJ Sanders too. He was on my list. I like Sanders out of South Carolina.
Yeah, man. I like. Woo! But Kenneth Grant is still there, bro. I'm sorry, I'm taking him over. I know people like Nolan, but I'm taking him. Let me look at these edges. Nah, man. I'm not getting no linebacker here. Look at this. We done already lost. See, I knew Amos was gonna fly off of that board. So the corners, I'm
Siobhan
like,
on there. Yeah, I was
because
just gonna
Siobhan,
say.
but he's coming back from
Yeah.
that injury, sis. That's my problem with Siobhan. If he wasn't coming from that
Yeah.
injury, I'll pick you. But it's like, bro, I don't do injury players in the
Yeah,
top
I
3
don't blame
rounds.
him.
I just
But
don't
Cooper's
believe
still
in him. But
there.
Cooper is
But
there, but
he'll probably still be there.
him here. Exactly. So I'm thinking
Yeah,
DT
I'm with it.
sis.
Cause I'm trying to double down.
You think?
I was talking about double down on DT.
Yeah.
You feel me? Cause man, like
We can definitely double down on DT. I'm thinking just though, like Kenneth Grant right here, bro, at 37. He was supposed to go way higher. So you want to get Kenneth Grant? Okay, let's get Kenneth Grant. Woo! We're smoking this draft. No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and see now we can get whoever else now. Like who? Okay, we're at 47. So who should we get?
Oh, that's our next second round pick. Ooh, a running back or a wide receiver?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
we already got wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah, I mean a running back, man. Look, Juggin's still there. That's nice, bro.
I would take Juggins and get out so fast.
Yeah.
Should we take Juggins here? All right, let's take Juggins. Woo!
I can't believe that. That's crazy,
bruh. I'm going to jail. This is our draft. I'm going to jail. Okay.
81.
Pick 81.
What's that third? Is it still third round?
Yeah, but they talking about go to 81 and then get a 2026 seventh. That ain't no good. I feel like why move down? Like, let me see. Yeah, and then y'all talking about a next year's fifth. No, we good.
We probably gotta.
If they're trying to give us more value to just move down a few spots in this draft, I would. But next year's 6th and 7th, I mean 5th and 7th, like, nah, I'm good, bro. Like, I don't. Like, okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to reject that. Okay, so damn, we already did so good. I don't know. Okay, so this is our third round pick, and we gotta get this pick right because we don't pick again to the 5th round. So what you want to look at? We already got wide receiver. Already got running back. You want to look at offensive line?
Let's look at defense right quick before we look at the lineman.
Okay. Okay, let's look at it. So we got. Well, we already got DT.
Birch is still there. Oh my God, bro! Hey, Knight is still there too. He's gonna be there later. Oh my gosh! Ooh.
Yeah, Knight is here, but he definitely gonna be gone. So I feel like we're gonna have to reach. Like if we want to get Knight, we can get Knight, but we're gonna have to pick him here because by the time we pick again, he's gonna be out the door.
Ooh.
Same thing with corner too. Like. I feel like, but these corners, I'm like,
I don't know about the corners.
To pick you corners, like, yeah, I don't. I'm not really feeling it.
Too.
I know we need a corner too, but I'm just like to force it here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like what's screaming at us right here is
like real. Like I'm with it because he'll have time to develop too. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned earlier, like you have starters or starts for right now. I'm with it.
I would say Jordan Birch or Demetrius Knight should be the pick here. What do you think?
I'm not gonna lie. I would reach for Knight because like we have guys at edge, but
because we have guys at edge. So you want to go with Knight here?
I would reach for him because Maris is still
okay. Let's reach for him. Yeah. Exactly. Let's reach for him. We'll reach for him because it's like if we don't pick him now, he's gone for sure. All right, guys. So see y'all at 149.
Shoot, bathroom break.
Okay, we back. Okay, let's check out the corner. That's how I feel like we can check out the corner. We got White there corner.
Man, and Kalen was a 5th round too. Carson.
You know who's this guy? I haven't watched him, but he's on our list.
Oh, for the visits?
Corey Black. Yeah, we met with Corey. I don't know what his film looked like, but we did meet with him. Okay, so that's Corey Black.
Yeah, let me look up.
Which they say if we pick him here. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm gonna look at the guide right quick, the Beast NFL Draft Guide to see where he's ranked at right quick. Kobe Black, you said. Let's see.
Yeah, take a look at them and see. Ooh, Isaiah Bond is still there. Andrew Armstrong, but that's a little bit early. Fadon, Conyers. Yeah, I like you, Conyers, but I ain't picking you way up here. A lot of people like this Jack Nelson guy. I haven't watched him, but they say he's pretty good. Now here, it could be a little bit of it is a reach though, technically. And I'm looking here at the offensive line. Don't love any of you guys. Yeah. So we look at just value. Jamar Caldwell, Corey Black.
He's only 22 with 3-year starter at Oklahoma State, outside corner.
You think we should take him? We had looked. It's okay. We haven't looked at it, but I just feel like we need.
It says he's tall. It says he's tall, long corner who matches up well with size.
How tall is he? 6'2"?
6 foot, 192. 50-year senior.
So let's just take him. He's 22. You said. Okay, let's take him. I feel like he was on the 30 visits. Guys, we haven't watched him, so we don't.
It says durable, started 38 games, and has a solid tackling strength and one lower on ball carries when driving downhill.
Right. He could be our next blend. So,
and that's what we need. We need short tacklers. So and also guys who can stop these builds.
Absolutely, we do. Okay, now we look at these running backs. Devin Neal is here. Andrew Armstrong is there. We want to double dip at wide receiver. None of these tight ends. Jack Nelson is still there. I feel like maybe we go Jack Nelson here.
I'm all for tackle depth.
We need an offensive.
We need
let's go get Jack Nelson. Let's get Jack Nelson. We got
for sure.
Okay. Okay, what's next? Okay, so this Fadon guy, people like him a lot. I feel like here we could possibly double dip at running back, maybe.
Okay, I'm with
it. Because we got Taj Brooks here. We got our guy. Yeah, I'm like, we got our guy Phil Maffa here. We got Armstrong here that we could get since if we want to double dip at wide receiver. Is anybody saying anything in the chat? I don't know. I'm not looking.
Stephen White says Vitro, who you need or trade back and add our late round to get more here. I like, this really just been commenting during the during our draft. Really,
we were actually picking. Okay, defense. Let me look at defense. See if there's any value. Edge. People say they do like Tyler Batty, but that would be a huge reach to me right over here. Angry, you mentioned Ahmed Hassani. I like him too from Boise, but we could get him in the 7th round. I might pick him. We already got. I'm not. Well, I do like Jabbar Muhammad, but that's way low. Let me see. I don't know none of these safeties. I'm not gonna hold you. So what you thinking, sis? You think we should double dip at running back or wide receiver here? Because we could either get Maffa or we could get Andrew Armstrong. That's why I feel like the best value is right here. I mean, remember we in the 6th round. So
and then we get a couple years ago. That's when we got Deuce in the 6th, and that's crazy. We got Brooks in the 6th, I think too. Or a couple years ago, I think too. Or last year.
Yeah, we got Deuce in the 6th, Brooks in the 7th.
Okay, okay. Oh man.
So what you think?
It's tough, man. That wide receiver room just like, it's just so full though. I'll double down and running back because I want great competition at running back. To really get the best guys in that backfield.
Exactly. So I love Taj Brooks, but you thinking let's go?
I like Maffa. I just love his energy on the field. He's faster.
Let's go Phil Maffa. I like Phil Maffa. Yeah. We're going Phil Maffa. God damn, we pick again. Okay.
Oh yeah, because we did have a lot of late round picks. That is right. Yeah,
we got a lot of picks.
So I mean, is that wide receiver still there?
Okay.
Hey look.
Hey look. Can get Andrew. Should we just get? Yeah, at this point, I feel like go ahead and get Andrew Armstrong right here. All right, Andrew Armstrong, it is.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, now who? Okay, here we just gotta get best value because we down to the weeds.
Let me see.
Let me. Is there anybody here? Is there oh, Conyers. Let's take Jalen Conyers because he's a he was a 30 visit. I think the Cowboys are kind of
Okay.
high on him, and he's just a good low. A low. Just
Yeah,
throw a
and
pick
local
out. You know
too.
what
You know
I'm
what I'm
saying?
saying?
Like,
So I mean,
yeah, and he's a
yeah.
local guy. Yeah, let's take
Okay.
Conyers here. Are we
Just
done
we got one
yet?
at 2:30, and we
Oh
still
my
have
god,
another one after this. This is crazy. Yeah, at
we do.
2:47. That's crazy,
We
man.
should have traded these. We should
You
have
feel
traded
me?
these
Like, come
two.
on now, front
Cause I
office. It
thought
don't make
like
no
this
dang.
is too much.
It don't make no sense, bro. Y'all could have
Like this is too many
right.
people.
This is what they want, though. I mean, they talk about They
We could
talk
take.
about draft picks.
I'll take Jabbar Muhammad.
Like, hey,
You want to take
yeah,
Jabbar Muhammad
I'm
and
with it.
Oregon? Shit. Either,
Yeah,
bruh.
I think like the final one.
How many picks?
That's like
We got 3 7
that's
round picks.
insane.
That's a lot of empty picks. Bro, I don't know.
Jaquindon
Ooh,
Jackson.
we
I
still
mean, he's
got.
one of the guys on my list. I don't know if
I do like him. That'd be 3 running
that's
backs.
crazy.
But oh
In addition
well.
to
I
the guys
mean,
we already have. But yeah,
we just taking
right.
him anyway.
And they have him. I think he's
Mhm.
actually on the list of the 30 visit, but they have him as a UDFA. So you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah.
Lyndon Jackson. Yeah.
So maybe see if there's like another position.
Oh, I like this guy, Jared Harrison Hunt. I do like him.
Oh, another DT.
Oh, and then they also got yeah, and they got you want double dip DT because they do also have this
I was gonna
guy.
say, what do you think? Because I
Hassan.
haven't looked at Ahmad's. Ahmad's.
I like Ahmad. He's a lunch pail guy, high motor. I feel like he could definitely come in and help us. Not greatly, but he'll be a rotational. I'm thinking him, Jerry Harrison Hunt. He tested crazy at the combine.
That's tough. I would love to double down in DT. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, let's just get another DT. Let's go with him.
Because if they do, they would really have no excuse. Like y'all went and got 2 DTs in the draft.
All right,
like
this is the draft, guys. We going to jail. Woo! I gotta take a screenshot of this because this is gotta stop sharing first. Okay. But yeah, guys, this is our draft. Matthew Golden, Kenny Grant, Quinshon Judkins, Demetrius Knight, Corey Black, Jack Nelson, Phil Moffa, Andrew Arm. I think we killed this. I think this draft
it's like for real, like for our first draft show, like for our first ever mock draft, y'all.
We should have been doing mock drafts all along, but it's
like
all
we
right.
really like all the pictures crazy. Yeah, and after you take that, send it to me, sis, because I'm gonna post that, man. That's
yeah. I think we smoked
really
the draft. Okay, but anyway, let me stop. Did I stop sharing my screen? Yeah, I did. All right. Well, anyway, I think we did great. We smoked the draft. We definitely gonna post it. I'm gonna try to take a screenshot of this. But anyways, I think that wraps it up. I think we gave y'all some great content. Y'all the draft is tomorrow. Woo!
Let's get a round of applause, sis. Let's hit that button right quick because we smoked this draft, smoked this show. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of people in the chat this evening. Thank you guys for joining us. I mean, like I said, this is really a crazy run we went on, sis. I mean, I think last year we didn't really touch a lot on drafts, so I'm very happy that we actually we took the steps to do this. Yes.
Exactly. So, let's give ourselves another clap. I think we did a great job. I think this was great. I think y'all can go back and watch our draft shows. Last week we had on Joy Hoyt, who gave us some intel and stuff like that. And then, we went through the DTs, went through the wide receivers, went through the running backs. We didn't go through all positions, but we went through a lot of them. So y'all be sure to check out those shows. Draft is tomorrow. So we just, I'm hoping, I'm praying for the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping the Cowboys, because it's like, bro, if we hit on this draft,
this could really like this is a very important time. Like Cowboys Nation, and we talk about this a lot on these shows. Like this is the transitional period for the 2025 Cowboys. Like new head coach, essentially new coaching staff. We do have some guys who stayed around, but new coaching staff. So I hope these owners take it serious that this is really a vital time right now. You really can't play around like that. Like really, when you talk about new journeys, new step, like this is where you make the most important decisions that really have an effect on the future. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully our veterans, the young guys, and like we talked about earlier, get CD back in the building, get of course Dak, our leaders, Micah back in the building, gathering up these young guys who can take them a little bit. And just one more point, I love the fact that Tyler Smith is taking it, kind of holding it personally too. I mean, he spoke about today in his interview, speaking with Zach Martin, saying that, hey, you're the next guy up. So I love that, I think we talked about it last week, these new leaders kind of be merging on our team and just hopefully be able to take our Cowboys to the next level. So like Sis said, thank you guys for joining us this evening. You got any final words, Sis?
No, this the draft is tomorrow, so y'all, we need to pray. We need to get in agreement and pray that we do the right thing and we get the right picks, because this is pivotal. Like Sis said, this is a pivotal moment. But y'all know, before y'all leave, please like the video, like the streams on both of our channels, Mickey's Cravin Cowboys, mine's Stargazer Sports. Please donate to our Cash Apps, which is there down there on the screen. Please share and please subscribe to us if y'all haven't, and be on the lookout. We're gonna be Mickey's not gonna be on there, but I'm gonna be on there. I'm sure Mickey gonna be in the chat and stuff like that. So we're gonna be in there for the draft tomorrow, guys. So I think draft starts tomorrow was 6. I don't know. I gotta get with Boston, see when we actually start. But we're gonna be on there, y'all. So let's pray, like Angry said. Let's go Cowboys. Let's go Cowboys.
Thank you guys for joining us. Yes, appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Make sure you guys tune in next week. We'll be back. We love you guys. Thanks for spending your evening with us. Thank you, Sis, for your time. Really appreciate you doing this show. I really love this time with you, and I can't wait to keep going forward. And I'm very excited for the season to get started. Thank you guys for everything. We'll catch you guys next week. See y'all.